How eBay sellers can prevent returns. While it's useful for sellers to know how to handle these situations, it's even more helpful to understand how to prevent returns from happening in the first place. One of the most common things that make buyers bristle is when they receive an item that doesn't match the photos or the description in the listing. Being sent broken items or products that are missing parts can likewise taint a transaction, and so can receiving shipments that are damaged or seem fake. Generally, problems with one of these elements cause buyers to request a return. If sellers offer returns within a certain period, then it's reasonable for a buyer to make a request. If a return is accepted, the seller has the option of giving a full or partial refund, with the buyer sometimes being asked to pay a restocking fee, usually around 20%, and to cover the return shipping. If sellers have included disclaimers in their return policy stating that they do not accept returns, then it's up to their discretion how they handle the situation. Although eBay backs buyers with a money-back guarantee, if the item isn't exactly what you ordered, eBay covers your purchase price, plus original shipping on virtually all items. Buyer ratings and feedback scores. Keeping buyers happy is eBay's top priority, and they expect it to be the seller's concern too. Up to 60 days after a transaction is completed, buyers can rate their experience. Their ratings are given on a scale of 1 to 5 and are based on 4 factors: item description, communication, shipping time, and shipping and handling charges. These ratings are averaged in with feedback from other buyers to determine the seller's rating and feedback score. Seller ratings and feedback scores are useful barometers for other buyers when buying decisions. Preventing returns is about more than protecting the seller's rating and feedback score. Customer satisfaction is equally as vital to preserving a seller's performance status, which eBay keeps a close tab on. Unresolved buyer returns can cause sellers to have their status lowered. For its part, eBay is less concerned with the ratings a seller receives and more concerned with the level of service they provide to buyers. If a buyer doesn't receive their order or it's not what they expected, eBay expects the seller to resolve the situation. If the situation doesn't get resolved on time, eBay may be called upon to intervene by either the buyer or the seller. If it gets to that level and eBay is asked to mediate a dispute, things can quickly go south for the seller. Defects affect a seller's service metrics, which is an ongoing tally of their resolution rate about items not as described or items not received cases. In turn, a seller's service metrics, which can be monitored in the service metrics dashboard in the seller's hub, affect their overall seller performance standard, which can result in selling sanctions from eBay if too many defects are registered. For sellers who have listed more than 400 items in the past 3 months, eBay only goes back 3 months. To maintain above standard status, the minimum level for an eBay seller, a seller must keep their defect rate at 2% or lower. If a seller's defect rate falls below this threshold or they receive too many defects in a designated period from different buyers, their overall seller status is subject to being lowered, resulting in partial or complete selling restrictions. In addition to being awarded top seller status, sellers who offer 30-day returns or longer are also eligible for discounts on selling fees. Sellers can take specific steps to help reduce the likelihood of a return request. If you're selling used merchandise, pay closer attention to ensure everything is in good shape. If you're selling a piece of electronics or something mechanical, plug it in or turn it on to make sure the item works. Keep a list of anything you find and include them in the description and photos. If you're selling unfamiliar items, it's best to do some research to verify that all parts are included. Create a checklist for yourself to follow when you ship the item and to include for the buyer to confirm everything has been received. Common items with multiple parts include toys, small appliances, electronics, sporting goods, tools, lawns, and garden equipment. Selling an item for parts only is perfectly acceptable. Just include that disclaimer in the title and description. The first thing to do when preparing your listing is to ensure your title is accurate and complete. Sometimes, this is the only thing buyers pay attention to, even if you have great photos and a thorough description. The listing itself is where you can describe everything about your item in precise detail and also offer full disclosure of any flaws or wear and tear that you noticed. Including measurements in your descriptions is also very important, especially if you're selling garments. When buying clothing on eBay, many buyers measure a similar item they already have that fits well and compare the measurements to the eBay listing. At least half of the reason buyers request returns are related to shipping. Review the sales order to make sure the right item is being shipped. It's also worth taking a second look at the condition of the item itself to ensure that it's the same shape as it was when it was first listed. Packaging an item for shipping is the most pivotal part of the process. Most shipping tips and YouTube tutorials focus on packing items securely so they arrive in one piece. While that's crucial, one thing that often gets overlooked is the packaging itself, which is a great way to help shape a buyer's perception of you. When a buyer reflects on their overall experience, it's not just the item and transaction they're considering, but what it was like dealing with you. If the package looks good when a buyer opens the item, hopefully, they remember that and know you took time and extra care. One of the videos on eBay's YouTube channel stresses this point and offers tips on how to polish the presentation, including wrapping items in large tissue paper and then tying them with twine. Ship clothes with a reusable polyvinyl envelope that the buyer can use to send items back if they need to. Another solid shipping tip includes using pool noodles, the foam cylinders kids play with when swimming, to help secure items. Ultimately, the key to shipping breakables is to make sure the items don't move around during processing and delivery. So is packing items in double-walled corrugated boxes, which are stronger and provide greater protection. For smaller items, many sellers use a USPS flat-rate bubble mailer, which tends to be cost-effective. Once the package ships, provide the buyer with tracking info so they know when to expect delivery and can follow up if the item isn't received. Avoid selling frequently returned items, including designer handbags, phone cases, formal wear, and electronics. Designer handbags are frequently returned within 30 days because buyers use them for a few weeks and then return them. Electronics, especially mobile phones, get returned with parts missing. If you choose to sell higher-end handbags, blue jeans, watches, or sunglasses, one way to prevent returns is to have them authenticated. You can send your bags to experts who can certify the authenticity and then ship the item to the buyer. Another option is a company called Authenticate First, which is also staffed with experts who can determine if an item is authentic and provide a certificate of authenticity that can be included in the eBay listing. Thank you for watching. See you on the next videos.